Good morning. Good morning and happy Friday. I don't think my sound's on yet. Is my sound on yet? Happy Friday. You can't hear me. They can't hear me. They can't hear me. Ben said he can't hear me. Good morning, friends. Happy Friday. I'm so glad you all are here. Welcome to our second ICAT Playdate of the semester. My name is Phyllis Newbill. I am the Associate Director of Educational Networks at one of ICAT's two centers, or right now two centers, the Center for Educational Networks and Impacts. So glad to have you here this morning. A couple of housekeeping items and announcements before we get started. First off, we are filming this morning and at all of our ICAT Playdates. So this in front of me is a 360 camera that is live streaming out to the internet. And the video that we produce as a result of this event will exist on the internet afterwards. So just keep that in mind as you move your body through this through this event. Is there a sign-in sheet? Yes. So if you've enjoyed donuts this morning, or even if you haven't, the way that we can justify donuts is having a sign-in sheet. So be sure that you let us know, and coffee, I always forget, sorry, Tom. Be sure to let us know who you are and where you're from. Speaking of donuts, there are donuts and coffee. Please enjoy them as part of the event this morning. If you have questions, raise your hand when we get to the questions time. Wait for me to get there. Let me say good morning to our friends online. Hello, all of you online. I'm so glad you're here this morning. If you all have questions, use the questions link, and I'll get them on my laptop and share them with the world. If you all have questions, just raise your hand and I'll come to you, but let's use the mic so the folks online can hear you. If PDN credit, Professional Development Network credit, is useful to you, there's a QR code right there. Just check in with me. If you're online, send me a note through those questions. Let me know that you're watching so that I can give you credit. Couple of announcements. We want to welcome. We have some guests this morning with the German Fulbright Summer Institute. Raise your hand. Hi, y'all. I could say hi, y'all, and I can also say Guten Morgen. Does that work? Okay. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. And they'll be here next week as well, so glad to have you with us this morning. Also, student seed grants. ICAT provides funding for a number of different projects, and this is an example. So Kieran's project that we're about to see is one of those from a few years ago. So student seed grants this year are due on October 7th. So if you are a student and you would like to do something cool like this, then you can get money for it. Also, faculty seed grants, the semester seed grants for a $6,000 grant, those proposals are due September 16th. And September is upon us. It is here, so that is not long from now. Okay, with all of that said, it's time for us to get started. I'm so glad this morning to introduce the project called The Tale of Two Brothers, and I'm going to let Kieran tell you all about it. Kieran is a music major, is a senior, and this is an ICAT-funded student seed grant from, is it last year? Last year, okay. I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kieran Casey. As she said, I'm a music major. How many people are artists in here? Just see a hand. Awesome. Hello, fellow artists. So, I'll start with a little bit about who I am. Like I said, my name is Kieran Casey. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I'm a music education composition major, like Phyllis said, and I love cartoons and anime. That's like half my personality. So I grew up watching a lot of Studio Ghibli films. My mom was a huge fan of Studio Ghibli, and it just kind of came on to me. My older brother used to watch them with me as well. He's a musician too. My favorite anime, if anybody's wondering, is Cowboy Bebop. I have a tattoo of Spike on my right arm. And in terms of cartoons, my favorite cartoon is Steven Universe, if anybody was wondering that. So here's some pictures. So that's like a Studio Ghibli cast. It's Cowboy Bebop and Steven Universe. So, I kind of want to talk about the inspirations for the Tale of Two Brothers. So I'll talk about the Tale of Two Brothers a little bit right now. So it was a film that was funded by the Student Seed Grant. And the reason that I needed the grant was because I wanted to create a professional environment for students here to actually be in the filmmaking process. Now, being a music major, I've always been interested, like I said, in cartoons and animation. And so I wanted to be able to bring my love for visual arts and performing arts and just like mash them together. So the Tale of Two Brothers, I'll talk a little bit more about the story later, but I wanted to kind of give you guys a background of like what exactly was going on in terms of the pre-production of the film. So the music was all done by me, and a lot of the music stems from Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's a specific piece that I'm going to play for you in a bit called the Agni Kai, and that kind of dictated what I wanted to kind of build my arsenal of instruments and orchestration around the piece. Pirates of the Caribbean was a huge inspiration for me. I love Hans Zimmer's scores, and I just really honed in on the use of brass and strings throughout the orchestra within it, as well as Lion King. There's a specific part in the movie where when I was thinking before, like, putting everything together, I was thinking of the scene from Lion King where Mufasa dies, and it was just a really pivotal moment that I wanted to be able to use that creative effect within my film. So the art was inspired as well by Avatar: The Last Airbender, as well as Avatar: The Blue People. I don't know how else to say it, so. And then the story was also heavily inspired off of Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's a pattern here, I really like Avatar. And it was also inspired by The Lion King. So this is the Agni Kai. So that's just a little bit of an example of what you're going to hear from some of the music from the movie. That's like the inspiration from it. And then here's kind of like somewhat of what a color palette we wanted. This is actually from Avatar. When we were looking through and putting the art and story together, this is kind of what we wanted, was these like vibrant colors, but not exactly the blue and the purple. We chose really like this red and blue to kind of show like vibrancy within it. Okay, so the process. When making a film, you've got pre-production, production, and post-production, right? So the music I actually wrote, again, all myself, and I finished that January 12th. I had 7 movements. I worked all over the winter trying to get everything together. And because this movie was like mostly inspired and thrown in from the music, I wanted to make sure the story fit into those seven movements. The process of storytelling is what I call sonic storytelling, in which the music is what drives the story, the music and the dialogue. So what you're hearing hones into more of what I want people to take from the movie, not just the visual elements. The story was then done January 31st. We were talking about it all throughout the like process of me making the music, just so that there was some continuity within it. It had to all fit the music, so what was portrayed within the music was then told within the story. And the dialogue was all done and recorded by March 24th. And the big thing with the dialogue was how do we accentuate the music through dialogue? And I think one of the biggest answers to that question was actually to get the actors that we had, the voice actors that we had, to really understand and know how the music worked and know the certain themes within it, and then bring out their characters through the kind of motion within the music. And exactly vice versa, how do we get the dialogue through with the music. All the rest of the recording was done. April 29th, we had live soloists from our music majors here at Virginia Tech. I'm a composer-performer, so I'm the principal tuba here at Virginia Tech. I play in the VT Philharmonic, and I know all of the principal chairs as well. They're good friends of mine, so they just came in, gave them some music, and they loved doing playing my pieces. And then we had also voice actors, and then all the art was done by May 2nd, and we just wanted to also accentuate some of the story through the visuals. So here's actually some pictures from the studio. That's my friend Peyton playing drums. That's where I worked. It was a really, really cool setup that I had in the studio. And then that's my friend Autumn playing French horn. So how we told the story was through something called the storybook. And we wanted to kind of present an otherworldliness in terms of like the art style, as well as somebody kind of just reading a story, but it was told through music and visuals. There was an integration of multiple cultures. I am African American, Native American, and white, and so I wanted to kind of put all of my different cultures into making this story. And so you'll hear certain rhythms that are Afro-Caribbean within the movie, as well as use of certain instruments, and as well as some like cultural elements told through in the story. And then it was just the art style that we felt most comfortable with within telling the story. So that's an example of what we first came up with for the kind of title screen. And then this is the picture of the village that you'll see throughout the story. And that is just kind of like an example of how the art came out finalized. So now I'll actually talk about the story. So the Tale of Two Brothers, the summary basically is the tribe of Katoa has long been guided under the teachings of Leia, embodied by a large tree at the village's center. After years of transcribing these teachings, much has been lost in translation, resulting in the corruption in the village. Years of unjust exiles of many of Katoa's constituents as a result of this corruption culminates in the banishing of Hakan at the age of 6. The last thing he sees is his younger brother Aleki as he walks out the tribe's gates. Leia communicates with Cerulean, Hakan's mother, and explains that with his exile, a seed will be planted that will either cure corruption within Katoa or will see the falling of Leia's teachings forever. 18 years later, Hakan returns to the village to take back the land he was once a part of. However, one person stands in his way, and it's his younger brother, Aleki. So here's actually a clip from the movie, because I can't show the whole movie, but I thought this would be really cool to show.
Good then. Let's get started. Faster. Stronger. Harder. Come on. Fight. Fight. Fight.
Aleki, you must leave now if you plan on catching anything.
Yeah, all right.
So that was just an example from a clip of the movie. You can see the art style and how like the dialogue and the music work together. So with this, I actually got a lot of opportunities. So this concert cycle, I'm actually able to perform some medleys from this piece. So I also wanted to talk about the kind of opportunities that I got within being able to present this, and we actually got to play this whole movie at the Lyric. That was the poster that we put around town for people to come see the movie. This is my family who came, and you can see like right there where it says the Lyric right next to it. The poster is there. It was really cool to just see the sign up there. And here was some people watching the movie. And then we had a Q&A after, talking about just like how everybody kind of worked together to make this piece of art. So like I said, November 14th, with like some of the opportunities that I've got, I'm actually have the opportunity to have a live performance of some of the music with the Virginia Tech Philharmonic. I'm not actually playing in it, I'm conducting it, which is also really, really cool. And so this is a picture of kind of like the brass section. That's me on the right. And I think the biggest part of this is my parents have always tried to get me and my older brother to do music together, but because I play tuba, it's kind of hard to get us to both like on the same page. But the like kind of orchestration of the piece is rock orchestra, and my older brother's actually playing on it. So I'm really, really excited to actually conduct him and like work with him throughout this piece. He's gonna be a guest artist, and yeah. So from this, I was like, I wanna do this for the rest of my life. This is so cool. So I started a company called Syntax of Sound. Now what we do, oh, that's the logo. What we do is we explore, educate, and create collaborative media. With the exploration, we want to offer unique experiences to young artists, like college students and like older high school students. We want to do some research on how we can make films a little more real for people and have them almost feel as though they're super attached to what's on screen through all the senses, visual, auditory, maybe even touch at one point, and we want to experiment with how this works. Educating, we've done, I've actually done a workshop already at my old high school on how people can look at multimedia in a different way. We're planning on doing camps and mentorships and then creating with films and other different forms of multimedia. So that's me at my old high school talking about how a composition of a shot can actually dictate where you want to put the music in terms of panning it left and right. And today I'll actually announce my second film that's coming out. This will be the first time that anybody actually sees the logo for it. And it's called Atlas. It's a tragedy about a group of college students who kind of have to face the end of the world. And it's a quest through introspection and how they kind of deal with trying to find what they're looking for. And so these are our socials. We're only on Instagram right now, but we also have an email. If you have any questions for me after, you can email there, and you can learn a little bit more about us. And if you want to get involved, you can go to our website, and the QR code actually up there is for our website. And you can contact us. You can apply to kind of work with us and try to see where we can fit you guys in terms of the different forms of multimedia and art that we do. So I'm ready for questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a fun trip. I've enjoyed watching your journey as well as the journey of the two brothers. Thank you for sharing it. We've got a couple of questions that have come in online.
Okay.
One is an easy one, or I hope it's an easy one. Where can we find the full film?
The full film, if you go to the website, again on the QR code, if you go to our projects, you can find it. It'll say watch this film. It's on YouTube. You can also look on YouTube. Syntax of Sound. It should come up. If it doesn't come up there, I know this for a fact. If you type in The Tale of Two Brothers, a sonic storytelling experience, it's the first thing that pops up.
Nice.
So that's where you can find the full film and watch it.
Excellent. Is there a question in the room? I've got one more here, but I'm coming your way, David. I'll come on this side of you. I got it.
Hi, Kieran. Thanks so much, and great work. So typically movies are done the other way, which is the story and I think you did the story before the music, but the visuals and everything is very well developed before music is typically brought in. This seems like it was done in the other way, where the music was very well developed before the visuals are started. Could you talk about that process and how that worked and how you feel it ended up versus the normal workflow for this type of media?
Yeah, so I'm sorry if this seemed a little confusing, but the music was actually done first. I actually did most of the themes in certain sketches. During COVID, I was in the Outer Banks with my family, and we were going during the winter when nobody was there, and I was kind of next to water, and I just kind of heard some melodies in my head. I wrote out the melodies, and I was playing a lot of League of Legends at the time, and the Yone had just came out, the character, and he was brothers to Yasuo, and they're two brothers, and their story is really interesting. And I kind of took the inspiration from that, and when I was writing the music, I heard these two melodies distinctly in my head over and over and over again. And so I kind of fleshed out a story with my friend Adrian, who is the story director on this, and him and I sat down and kind of banged out in 3 hours through dinner. My mom was mad at me. Exactly what we wanted, and it was an hour and a half film. And then I was like, bro, this got to be 30 minutes. And I was like, I can't do an hour and a half film for the first thing. And so we developed the story through that, and we grabbed some more people on the team to kind of put in their insight on how they thought the story and the music were going to intersect. But with that, we then were like, okay, how else can we take this non-traditional approach to film? And if you watch the movie, the last scene, I'm not going to say what happens, but the very last chapter, there's a really pivotal moment, a climax that happens. That is all improvised by the actors. They didn't get a script. They sat down, they listened to music twice, and then they kind of fed off of each other and their emotions, and it was super cool to see that. And they came up with basically the script. I mean, how many people can say they were acting in a movie and they were able to actually put what they feel their character was in the script? And so it was just them adapting to basically the art that we had all created, and it just creates a more diverse product, in my opinion. And I think more workshops and more ways of creating art like this is just going to bring in everybody's different backgrounds, and it's going to be more a part of everyone who worked on the project. So if that answers your question, yes.
I love that the script came after the music, or came as listen to the music and figure out what the script is. What other questions are there?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. The only other movie that I know that the music came first is Baby Driver, which seems completely opposite, it's an action movie. Did you happen to take that inspiration also into account?
No, so most of the inspiration, I know of Baby Driver, and I love that movie actually. And I think it wasn't what crossed my mind when I had this idea. What more crossed my mind was my interaction with Studio Ghibli when I was a kid. I did a lot of research after I watched Castle in the Sky for the fourth or fifth time, a year ago, 2 years ago, as well as Spirited Away. And the relationship that Joe Hisaishi, who is the composer for the Studio Ghibli films, and Hayao Miyazaki has is fascinating. They've been friends for 30 years, probably more than that now. But the ability to be able to be hey, here's some music, cool, I actually wrote the rest of the story to this. I was what if that was done by one person? What if all of the ideas were flown actually through me? Because a lot of, within the industry, there's a problem with composers and musicians where they feel their background and their interest in like the movie and the direction isn't taken a part of. It's never talked about. And everybody told me that when I was coming here, and I was like, I want to do film score. They were like, it's really tough because you're going to write music you don't want to write. I was like, no, I'm going to write the music I want to write, and I'm going to do it how I want to do it because I feel as though that's just, like putting together both of those things is just really, really cool. And I don't want to be limited by like what some people say. I mean, it's their project, they can say what they want about it, but I'm just not the person for you if you're gonna limit my like expandable imagination, But I just love the way that Joe Hisaishi and Hayao Miyazaki work together, and I did a lot of research on how they talked back and forth and kind of just tried to see how I could do that within myself and within the story as well as the music.
So one more question that's come in online. I have to read this one. There's a lot to it. How do you think art, like film, can both critique evil done for religious reasons and celebrate the beautiful parts of religion? And is it more important to do one or the other?
Okay. That's a really good question. So for those of you who don't know, this was actually a piece of art that kind of helped me through my struggles with religion. I grew up in a church, and I had just seen a lot of like good things within the church, but then a lot of bad things. And this film was kind of a way to deal with what I had seen, and especially with some people who like praise so highly within the church. And I think art can show religion in great ways because of something called faith, right? And faith can sometimes be followed blindly, and that obviously leads to corruption sometimes. But other times it can be followed blindly, and in the hands of the beholder, it actually does a great deal of good, right? If somebody's preaching everything that is good, hopefully the person who is receiving that message, based on their background and what they do, is going to be able to also spread that word that is good. So I think that like through certain art, if I use my film as an example, this is more to bring to attention the problems that are within certain religions of like, if you should somebody shouldn't walk blindly to faith a lot of the times. They should, take an introspective look on how they view what's being told to them within religion, and really kind of sit on what it is they believe and how that can affect how they see the world and make a change within the world. So if that answers your question, I guess that's more of how I see how art can do it for the good.
Great. Thank you, Kieran. We are at time this morning, so I want to thank you all again for both online and in the room for being here this morning. We will be back here next week. Next week's topic is the Virginia Tech Science Festival, and yours truly will be your speaker, so be here. There'll be more donuts, more coffee, and I am looking forward to seeing you there. Well, have a great weekend. Have a good, safe weekend. Enjoy your holiday.
Also,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to talk about like anything within Texas sound or like anime and nerd stuff, I'm right here. So
Awesome. I love it. Thanks, y'all.
thank you.